Yeah, man, with this Jada Pinkett Smith speech, man, I really fell in love with that speech. Cause watch this, Mike. I think a lot of the things she was saying was going over people's head.
Yeah.
Cause check this out, Mike. Cause everybody's saying, oh, it's more important things to worry about in the world. You know, the Flint, Michigan thing with the water, which we gonna get into.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I'm like, okay, there are more important things in the world, but what she's saying might be just as important. Because watch
Yeah.
this, Mike. She said, okay, as black people, it's time for us to stop looking to be accepted by other
Yeah.
cultures. She
Yeah.
said it's time for us to build our own. Those were the most important for me. Those were the most important items I took from
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
because everybody's looking at it like she was just speaking on the Oscars or whatever it is. I don't watch that stuff, but she's speaking on the
Yeah.
Oscars. But I'm like, no. She used the Oscars as a gateway to deliver a bigger
Yeah.
message. Mike.
I always try to make sure I clarify to people when you guys hear us speak on this stuff. None of this stuff is coming from, you know, us being any type of racist, because that's not the case here. We just speak from different perspective from our views. But when people always say that, see Rob, I always say like, yeah, it's more important things going on in the world, I know, but we always have to take care of the world that we know.
Yeah.
And that goes whether you're white, black, Hispanic, you always have to take care of the world you know. So that's what we relate to. So I always want to make sure I clarify that when people hear us touch on these subjects. But, I agree with you. Jada Pinkett was absolutely right, man. Jada Pinkett, like I said, it couldn't have been a better person that was going to be able to speak up and really say what truly is going on. I mean, come on now, it's not the first time that everybody's looked at the Oscars, and don't get it twisted. There's a lot of great actors in the world that's not black. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of my top 5 actors of all time. No debate about it, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But once again, it's only related to the world that we know and what we see that's going on at the end of the day. But what do you think about the boy Chris Rock, though? Chris Rock is the black actor, of course, who's actually going to host the Oscars, and they've been debating for him to not do it. So what you think about that?
I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna front, man. I think this is all subjective. Like, I'm not tripping if he continues to host the Oscars. So what? Like, I'm Chris Rock. You make the best decision you feel like you need to make, because
Yeah.
I like, man, Chris Rock. You know he's for black issues. He speaks about it in his comedy.
Of course.
And then like that last movie he did, he put together his own movie.
Of
So
course.
I'm not mad. Like, Chris Rock, I get you. I mean, I don't know, Mike. I'm just looking at this Jada Pinkett Smith deal, man. And then did you see the video
Yeah, I seen
where
it.
the original Aunt
Jada was
Viv?
looking very beautiful, by the way.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, Jada Pinkett Smith. Shout out to you, sister. I'm not mad at you. Shout out to you, sister. But and also she gave us that a different world,
Yeah.
Tupac inspired
Yeah.
Jada Pinkett Smith. Well, she wasn't Smith back then, but Jada Pinkett that we knew from the early '90s. Let's not forget about that.
Mhm.
But did you see the video with the original Aunt Vivian,
seen that.
Julian
I seen that.
Hubbard, going at her?
I was definitely disappointed in that video.
Oh my goodness, Mike! Because Mike, the greatest image I have of the original Aunt Viv was, you remember that episode of Fresh Prince where she's getting older and she goes to that dance club and everything's too fast for her, but at the end of it she catches it and she walks down and she no homo to be snapping like that, but she walks out and she regains her confidence.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, next to Claire Huxtable, who's the greatest TV mom ever,
Yeah.
it's the original Aunt Viv, and
Yeah,
for her
of
to
course.
get on there and pretty much take shots at Will Smith, I can tell she's still bitter about that whole situation.
Of course.
But how did you feel about that, bro?
Yeah. And just to clarify for anybody who hasn't seen it, she released a certain video and she was stating, she finds it ironic that Will and Jada want to boycott the Oscars when, a long time ago she wanted Will and the whole cast, especially Will, to go to the NBC studios they used to film Fresh Prince and ask for more money, similar to what the cast of Friends did. The cast of Friends did ask for $1 million or more, and all of them got paid. And Will Smith, I guess, told at the time that I don't know about you guys, but my money is my money, you guys' money is your money. So obviously she feels kind of bitter about that, and she's in her 60s now. So I think that she obviously needs to let it go. But at the end of the day, I think that has nothing to do with what with what Jaden and is really speaking about. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, she's speaking more for a culture, not for a particular TV show. And granted, to my man Will Smith, you know, I'm pretty sure at that time he was a young guy in his 20s. He probably didn't know what decision to make. You know what I mean? He probably didn't know where to really stand. You know, the older you get, the more mature you get, the more success you have. You realize that you don't have to do certain things that you possibly didn't do when you was 20 years old, that you do have to do now because you're able to do it.
Yeah.
You know? So, but I was definitely disappointed in that when I saw that vid.
Yeah, man, and she began coming at the last movie you did was a flop and your accent wasn't that good, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It was more personal feelings in there than actually what's going on. That's why it was almost, you know, hard to relate to a little bit listening to Aunt Viv talk.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, Aunt Viv, wait a minute. That brother did well in that movie. I liked his accent. I didn't even know he could play an African.
Yeah.
But he proved he could play an African. And his last movies were flops for Will Smith because Will Smith is big ticket. But those movies still went on to make over $100 million. These would be big movies for other people.
Of course. But and if y'all want to know what movie she's talking about the movie Concussion. But you also got to understand the movie Concussion was also blackballed because the sensitive subject it was talking about with the NFL and the concussion theory. You know, so that's another reason why. Will Smith even said himself when he made the movie, he understood what he was getting himself into. He understood that there's a possibility of him potentially be blackballed by making that movie. So I commend Will Smith for even sticking to his guns and making a great movie.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you, Will Smith, and Julian Hubbard. I apologize. I don't mean to disrespect you by not knowing your name. Aunt Viv, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. That's a great man. Like, you're a great woman, man. Y'all just work it out. Yeah. And you ain't gotta attack that man because we're looking at we're looking at the overall bigger picture, and we're trying to act like, well, she's trying to act like, yeah, because he didn't get nominated and blah blah blah. And you know what? If that is the motivation, sometimes that's how change comes about. Think about it, Mike. Yeah. If you go into the basketball court to play basketball, right? And the guys don't let you onto the court. You know, eventually you're going to get frustrated and you might go buy your own goal and play at your own house, man. Yeah, sure. That's all she's saying, man. Yeah. If you don't want to accept us, you don't want to let us in, okay, I get it now. Light bulb, time for us to build our own. Yeah. When we build our own, we can play as long as we want to play. We can nominate who we want to nominate. Yeah. Because let's be honest, man, these movies, they're not... Me just speaking for myself, I enjoy the low budget, D-list, all black cast Netflix movies more than I enjoy these big blockbusters with us as sidekicks.
And see, for me, this is where we say the perspective different. I actually like going to the movies and seeing big blocks of movies with big actors. I like the feel of what a movie gives me when I watch this movie, or what inspiring emotion or feeling that I get from it.
Man, hell with that, Mike. Netflix $9.95 a month, and you can watch as many movies as you want, Mike. With the Netflix, hell.
True. I did get into the Narco series on Netflix too. If you guys haven't checked out the Narco series, definitely watch that. It's very dope.
Okay, I have to check that out, man. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's just what it is, man. Yeah. So Vivian, stop hating, and Will Smith. Yeah. I don't keep up with the Oscars. Don't care about an Oscar. Probably never watch an Oscar. But you should have been nominated. For one, because Concussion was amazing, Ali was incredible. The Pursuit of Happiness,
you definitely should have won it for Pursuit of Happiness.
Jesus should have came down from heaven and given you an Oscar or something. And then that's not to mention the iRobots and the Bad Boys 1 and 2 and all
weak,
that.
Though, I ain't gonna lie.
See you see this guy right here, man. We better move on before I have to debate this guy on that, man. I'm a Will Smith, man. You the man.
Just being honest, But yo, man, let's get to the seriousness in the world. I mean, what's going on with this Flint, Michigan situation, man. If you guys haven't heard, obviously, you know, of course, Flint right now has